Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are working on the third movement of Percy Grainger's suite, Lincolnshire Posy. This is called Rufford Park Poachers, and we're going to be starting off with version B. This is the one that features the alto clarinet at the beginning, and it's a lot of fun to play. So here's the trick on this one. A lot of students will wrestle with this one in that the mix of 4/8 and 5/8 makes it really kind of hard to count. There's a little bit of a trick to it, and I'm going to show you what that is. So here's how this video is going to work. I am going to talk to you about it first, give you some practice tips. Then I'm going to play through it with just the alto clarinet part. Then I'm going to play through it, and I'm going to add the other parts that are going on at the same time. Now, I don't play piccolo, so I'm going to do it on C clarinet, but I think you'll get the point, and it'll give you something maybe you can practice from this. So I hope you enjoy. The 4/8 and the 5/8 make this really tricky, and as you're practicing it, this is my suggestion to you, is I would recommend putting the metronome on eighth notes and something that's very comfortable that you don't even have to think about it. Don't worry about the divisions of the beat just yet. Let's just get the eighth note he recommends eighth note equals 132. It's a little bit tricky the way he writes these. Now, if you've played any of the Percy Grainger's music, you know that there's always going to be some weird ways he explains things, or his indication, things like loud and lots, or piccolo being called small flute. There's a lot of little Graingerisms that we have to kind of wrestle with. And one of them is he's tried to notate this folk song that makes a lot of sense when you hear it as a folk song in a way that's very close to the way the singer performed it. You can go on YouTube. There's a great video put out by the Navy Band of their recording of this where they actually play the wax reels that Grainger used to write these from. And I think once you hear the real version of it, playing the arrangement version or the Grainger version of it is not super hard. It's just a matter of you have to keep track of when it's a group of two and when it's a group of three. So what I've done, and as I conduct this, and I recommend my students do this as they're performing it, figure out which beats are going to be a group of two and which are going to be a group of three. And remember, the eighth note's consistent, so it's really not super hard to follow if you can remember where those are. And one of the tricks that I found is most helpful is that the group almost always breaks down into a group. The 5/8 break down into a group of 2 plus 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now, it's a little tricky if you're looking at the beginning of the beat, but it actually makes a lot more sense if you're looking at the end of the beat. And that's one of the things I talk about a lot is look where you're going, not where you were. So if you think about, let's look at measure 2, and this is the alto clarinet part, but it's the same thing if you're looking at the first clarinet part in version A. The complication comes in when we add the other group that's off by 2 quarter notes. But if you're looking at version B, this is the alto clarinet part or the first clarinet part in version A, we see that we've essentially got 4 quarter notes worth of that first note, right? The trick comes in that at the end of that 5/8 bar, we've got these 3 16th note pickups. So as long as you just think of those as a pickup to the next bar, I like this read, and one, that really kind of lends itself to letting it go. Now, that's the first thing to overcome, is getting comfortable with that 5/8. As I said, I would put the metronome on just an eighth note pulse. Don't try to worry about the divisions of the beat. If you have an app like Pro Metronome app, or you have a metronome of some sort that'll give you 4/8 plus 5/8, something like that, you could set it up to be that. But they're so obscure, well, not obscure, but they're so irregular, that's the better word, that there's a 4/8 at the beginning, then there's 3 5/8, then a 4/8, then there's 3 5/8, then 2 4/8, and then a 5/8, 2 5/8. It's just kind of back and forth. So getting that under your fingers is the first thing to accomplish. And I would leave out all the grace notes and all the little ornaments and things first, and then I would put it together. Second thing, let's put in the grace notes. So the grace notes are always going to happen right before the beat. I'm looking at measure 12 and 13. They're going to happen right before the beat, and just make sure that the printed note, that the principal note happens on the beat, and you'll be fine. The second ornament that we have to kind of deal with is much the same, and this is in measure 16. You've got a trill on the first note. I would just do one trill on that. Talk to the people you're playing this with, because obviously you have a teammate in this solo, but I would just do one trill and do it right on the beat. So I'm going to play it for you now, and I'm going to play from measure 1 through measure 18 and see what you think.